So I thought I'd just start on the 16 attributes of the Four Truths, because it's they clarify a lot of misconceptions that we may have about the Four Truths, and it's very important to clarify our misconceptions, because if we have the wrong ideas, then even if we meditate, we can't go forward in our practice. Yeah, because if we don't have the right ideas, we're not meditating on the right things, so we're not going to get the right realizations. Okay, so we have to start with a basic correct idea first. So in talking about the Four Truths, each one of them have four attributes that counteract four misconceptions. So in the first truth, the truth of dukkha, the four attributes are impermanence, and then dukkha, or unsatisfactory circumstances, empty, and selfless. Okay? And so in the Theravada tradition, they often consolidate these into what they call the three characteristics. So impermanent, dukkha, and then not self. In the Sanskrit tradition, we tend to, it's the same term, but we translate it as selflessness, but it's the same thing. Theravada say non-self, or no self, or not self. I personally think not self is more accurate from the Theravada view, and selfless, people get it confused with being very compassionate, So you just have to learn the right terminology to understand what's going on. But in any case, of these four characteristics are the four attributes of the first truth. The first one there is impermanent. And so each of the attributes has a syllogism that accompanies it, that explains this topic. And it also specifies, it also uses an example of, what it's talking about to really drive the point home, okay? So instead of saying all true dukkha is impermanent, it uses the example of the five aggregates, okay? So the psychophysical aggregates, and it says the five aggregates are impermanent because they momentarily arise and cease. Okay? So we've heard this many, many times. Yeah. And we might have an intellectual understanding, we might not, but the thing is, do we really get it? Okay, so, to realize impermanence isn't just to realize coarse impermanence, the fact that buildings fall down and people die and retreats end and retreats begin and things like that. But it means also to really see that things are changing moment by moment, because you can't have the coarse endings of certain things without having the subtle change that happens in each moment. Okay, so it isn't like you build we build Chenrezig Hall and then it remains permanent, and then at some future time it's taken down. It's not like that. The hall, from the moment it was complete, which is actually difficult to find, which moment was it actually complete? But anyway, from that moment, it's been in the process of changing and decaying, never remaining the same. And the idea is that even if, because of this subtle change that occurs each moment, you don't need any other cause to make things change moment by moment. And if you wait long enough, you don't really need anything for the course change to happen either. Because eventually, because things are changing moment by moment, the course change is going to happen and they're going to collapse, okay? That's talking in terms of material things. In terms of the mind, it's not like that, okay? But at least in terms of material things. So having an awareness of impermanence is very important for us, because I think a lot of our suffering comes because we fight impermanence. Yeah, we're in complete war with impermanence. Yeah, we don't want to get old. Yeah, we don't want to get sick. We don't want to die. Yeah, we don't want to lose the things we have that we like. Okay, and so in our whole life, we're trying to make all these things that have subtle impermanence, that are changing moment by moment. We're trying to concretize them, and they can't be concretized, yeah, because change is in their very nature, yeah. And so we're going to get old and sick and die, and the things that we like, we're going to be separated from. And the people that we care about are going to die, and we're going to die. And, this is just part of life in samsara. But what causes our suffering is that we fight this. We refuse to accept it. Yeah? So this is a very, very good topic to spend some time on in your meditation, and go through your whole life and see, make examples of how you have refused to accept impermanence and the suffering that it's caused you. Okay? So impermanence is they always say it's an attribute of true dukkha. But impermanence also is what allows us to become Buddhas. If our mind stream were not impermanent, then there would be no way to change. If we were not impermanent, we couldn't change, we couldn't develop the Buddha's qualities. So impermanence also works for our own benefit, okay? But as a being in samsara who is attached to things, we do not like impermanence at all, okay? So it starts from very young. True confession moment. I remember being a child, and when you're little, you're a year from one birthday to the next is like eternity. So I remember sometime, I must have been very young, but my parents had a birthday party for me, and they had a clown there. And my friends came, and of course I was the center of attention, and I got a lot of presents, which was the best thing of all. And then at the end of the day, when the party was over and my friends went home, and I had to clean up, and then that was done. Actually, I didn't clean up. I let my parents do it. And, and at the end of the day, what did I do after this wonderful, happy day? Is there was one little corner in my room, and I went in that corner and I cried, bawling, because it was going to be another year before I had another birthday. Okay? So, this is an example of how we fight coarse impermanence. It starts like that, Actually, it probably starts even younger, but we don't remember, when our mother, or our father, or whoever's taking care of us, has to do something else when we want their attention. And so they leave to do whatever they need to do. And we scream and we cry, because that's not supposed to happen. Impermanence is not supposed to happen. We're not supposed to be separated from what we want and what we like, even for a nanosecond, And this is our preconception as we come into this world, yeah? And so, if you really look closely, see how much, you've suffered from depression and discouragement and feelings of inadequacy and all these kinds of things because we haven't accepted that things are transient. Yeah? Maybe you rank number 1 in your class. You know, you're the best person at hula hoop. Yeah? And so you think that's great. But then, once you have that status of the best hula hooper, then you also have the pressure to keep it up. And things are impermanent, and you cannot maintain your status as the best hula hooper in your elementary school. And sometime somebody else is going to be better than you. Tragedy. Yeah? So we just don't like impermanence. Okay? So very interesting to watch and see how much we've suffered. You know, relationships come together. When we like the people, that's great. When we separate from the people we like, well, actually, we don't separate. Either they separate from us, or there's some intervening circumstance. Somebody has an accident, somebody dies, or whatever. Then again, we don't like it. So very interesting to see like the suffering, and then to really meditate, do some serious meditation on impermanence, to try and counteract our grasping onto permanence that causes all that suffering. Okay? So you can start by just even thinking about course impermanence, how things change. Yeah, you get a job, you lose a job. Whatever comes together is going to separate. Yeah, we all know you have money and then you don't have money. Yeah, you live somewhere and then you don't live somewhere. So when we make the choice, we think it's okay, but so many choices are made by our previous karma, and that's when we suffer a lot. Okay? So to really do some very strong meditation on the course impermanence, and also on the subtle impermanence. Yeah? And so specifically in a culture that emphasizes good looks and looking young, you know, and yet moment by moment all of us are getting older. Yeah. So this is totally crazy making, because we're supposed to, you know, look younger and more beautiful according to what society says. But actually the natural process is we're getting older and uglier. Yeah? So this makes us totally crazy and brings up all sorts of doubts about, you know, how competent I am, how worthwhile I am, blah, 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 blah. All these doubts about who we are as a human being, simply because things are subtly changing and there's no way to stop it. But we want to stay, you know, at some indefinite age, yeah, where we were the most attractive. I don't know what age that is when we were the most attractive, but it's usually somewhere in your late teens, wouldn't you say? Late teens, early 20s. Yeah, after that, forget it, you know. But think of what your mind was like in your late teens and early 20s. Physically, the most attractive. Mentally, pretty messed up. Do you think? Yeah, when I look at my late teens, early 20s, pretty messed up. Yeah. So very interesting how those things go together. And, you know, hopefully as you age and you become more mature, then you're no longer physically attractive, you know. It's like I said, I mean, basically after 21, 22, you are over the hill. Yeah, we don't think that. We don't think it, yeah. You're the millennia generation. Yeah, well, let me tell you, I was the baby boomer generation, and we're still the most into it, the most competent, the greatest generation, except that nobody pays any attention to us anymore because we all look old, okay? So the same thing is going to happen to all you millennials, yeah? Wait 10 years, and you're going to be, you know, oh, the millennial generation, yeah. And there's going to be, I don't know what the new generation is called, but they're going to be the ones that, you know, are really top-notch, that everybody talks about and advertises for. And you're going to join the club of us old fogies. Yeah, they're laughing. Just wait. Isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah, old fogies like me. Yeah, it's true, isn't it? Yeah. So, that's it. That's it.
And the slide gets faster and faster.
Yes. Oh, I thought you meant the slides on the computer as the young ones are going through them and you're going, wait a minute. Okay, so spend some time thinking about coarse impermanence and then also subtle impermanence. And then also remember how impermanence can work for you too. Yeah, and this is where we forget impermanence. You know, we also forget impermanence, is when we're in a bad mood, okay? Or when something happened that we didn't like. Yeah, this is going to last forever. Yeah, I'm going to be depressed forever. Nothing good is going to happen in my life forever, ever, ever, ever. Yeah, wrong again. Yeah, but again, we hold on to things as being completely, you know, okay, I feel lousy this moment. That means the whole rest of the day is lousy. Tomorrow's lousy. My whole life is lousy. Yeah. But I had a friend who was a hospice nurse, and so she saw people in really extreme situations. And she said that you can't hold on to an intense emotion for very long anyway. You know, she put it at, I think, like, I forget whether she said 20 minutes or 40 minutes, but at the most, that's it. Yeah. But when you're in the middle of an intense emotion, yeah, forget subtle impermanence. You think, this is totally permanent forever. Yeah. It's actually changing moment by moment by moment by moment. And it's going to end. You can't hold on to it. You may say, but it comes back. But it comes back and it's different. It's not the same. Yeah? Is your mind the same in 2 mind moments? Yeah? Are 2 moments of anger, 2 moments of depression exactly the same? No. Yeah. So we have to remember that, and we have to remember that these things are also subject to coarse impermanence. You know, that even some of our very down mental states, yeah, they don't stay there. They're not there 24/7. 25/8, sorry. Yeah. That's for people who work overtime. 25/8. So, you know, just to remember that and to watch things change and to be okay with them changing. Yeah. And to know that this impermanence enables us to change and eliminate our defilements and develop our good qualities. Okay?